Hello, say hi to a happy day and enjoy listening while I read to you a story. Power Outage. Vanellope von Weeds had missed her friend Wreck-It Ralph. He spent most of his time in Fix-It, Felix Jr., the game where he lived. But they were planning to meet back at the arcade for some best friend fun. It was the end of the day at the arcade, and the video game characters were gathering in Game Central Station. Suddenly, all the lights in the station went out. It was a power outage. "I think we're stuck," Ralph told Vanellope. He was right. Until the power came back on, no one was going anywhere. "Don't worry, everyone. Fix It, Felix Jr. called out. My trusty hammer and I will have this fixed in no time." Ralph and Vanellope started to make their way toward Felix, but it was hard to see without the lights. "Come on, Stink Brain," Vanellope said. "I think I see a—" Vanellope had run into someone. "Oh, I'm sorry, Vanellope. I didn't see you there." It was Jean, the nice Lander Mare from the Fix-It Felix Jr. game. "Do you think the power will be out for a long time?" he asked. "I hope so," Vanellope said. "This is fun." Vanellope started bouncing excitedly, but she stopped when she saw how nervous Jean was. "What's wrong?" Vanellope asked him. "The truth is," Jean said, "the idea of spending the night away from home scares me." Just then, Felix ran past with his hammer. "Felix, tap Jean with your hammer," Ralph suggested. "Maybe then he won't be scared anymore." Felix hit Jean lightly with his hammer. It was supposed to fix anything. The friends waited and waited, but nothing happened. Jean was still scared. "Sorry, Jean," Felix said sadly. "I guess there are just some things my hammer can't fix." Vanellope and Ralph knew they needed to find a way to distract Jean until Felix could get the power back on. "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" Ralph whispered to Vanellope. "Absolutely," Vanellope said. "Party, come on, everyone, we're going to have a slumber party." "Wait, what? No," Ralph said. He had definitely not been thinking about throwing a party. "Trust me, big guy," Vanellope said, patting Ralph on the back. "I know what I'm doing." Then she climbed onto Ralph's shoulders and yelled, "Now let's have some fun." Ralph sighed. If there was one thing he knew about Vanellope, it was that once she got an idea in her head, there was no changing her mind. Ralph looked around. "Say team," he called out, recognizing a fellow member of his bad guy support group. "Bad and on. Think you can help us out with some light?" "It would be my pleasure," Satin said. He lit his staff, and a small circle of light filled the room. The video game characters wasted no time in following Vanellope's lead. Soon, they were all happily playing party games. "Who knew that Zombie would be so good at this?" Ralph said, watching Zombie bob for apples. But Jean wasn't paying any attention to Ralph. He was too busy wishing he was safe in his own bed. "Come on, Jean," Ralph said, pushing his friend toward the limbo line. "You should give it a try." Jean took a deep breath and limboed under the pole. He could really bend. "How's it going, Felix?" Ralph called to his friend. Ralph looked around. Where was Felix? "Up here, Ralph," Felix called from within one of the ceiling vents high above Ralph. "Can't talk now. I think I'm getting close." Jean was having fun, but he was still worried. Vanellope needed another idea. "It's time for charades," she cried. "Jean, you keep time. Ralph, you're up first." "I don't know about this," Ralph and Jean said at the same time. Jean thought he'd be too scared to keep time, and Ralph didn't think he'd be very good at charades, but Vanellope wouldn't take no for an answer. Rooster? No. Ice cream? No. Giraffe? No, I got it, I got it, I got it. Lollipop. Vanellope yelled as Ralph tried to act out the first word. Time's up, Jean yelled. It's Cybug. I was trying to be a Cybug, Ralph explained. Vanellope could see that Jean was starting to feel better, and she planned to keep it that way. She grabbed Jean by the arm and dragged him toward the starting line for a three-legged race. Jean glanced at Vanellope's fellow Sugar Rush racers. They looked tough. Vanellope, maybe this isn't a good idea, he said. Come on, Jean. We have to beat Taffeta and Candlehead. Vanellope replied as she tied her leg to Jean's. Vanellope was very competitive, and she wasn't going to lose this race. Before Jean could say another word, Sour Bill waved the starting flag. The racers were off. Taffeta and Candlehead quickly took the lead, with Winchell and Duncan from the Donut Police close behind. Vanellope, Jean cried as he tried to keep up with her. Slow down. You slow down, you lose, Vanellope said. Come on, Jean, you can do it. Vanellope pulled Jean along as fast as she could, but they were still in third place. Suddenly, one of the racers tripped. Everyone went flying, except for Vanellope and Jean. They raced into the lead and across the finish line in the first place. Vanellope jumped up and down. She was so excited they had won the race. You did it, Jean, Ralph said, lifting Jean onto his shoulders. I did, I won, Jean cheered loudly. Well, we won, but you were great, Vanellope said. Jean was so proud of himself. He had gotten over his fear and had so much fun doing it. He knew he couldn't have done it without the help of his friends, Ralph and Vanellope. And look, you made it through the night, Ralph said. He was right. The sun had come out. Suddenly, with a bang, Game Central Station lit up. Felix had fixed the power. I never thought I would make it through a whole night away from home, Jean said, but now that I have, I guess it's not so scary after all. Thanks, guys. Of course, buddy, Ralph said. What are friends for? The end. I hope you enjoy listening to the story, Power Outage. Please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to listen to more of our favorite book stories. See you soon.